Okay. So, so I thought about going after I graduate to sort of be a resident in this monastery, and I've thought about these kinds of things for a while, because for a number of reasons, because because of the context that sort of can give, also because it's like a nice life. They're not the same kinds of hardships, and like when I'm like I like certain kinds of working, and I'm going to school to be a therapist, and sometimes you know um I think this would be a good way for me to help people. But then I've experiences, like, for instance, I'm out of work for 2.5 weeks because I broke my ankle, and I have a lot of time to sort of sit, and I don't have, like, it's more, and I'm kind of like, do I really want to, like, live by myself in an apartment and, like, go to this job with all the bureaucracy and all of that? And will that really, and of course, I'll practice, but, like, is I I don't know. I just I don't know what I should do. I mean, I think I'll probably go there for some time. I don't know. I don't know what the question or the answer is.
Hmm. Where are you living? Are you living in Boston,
Yeah,
Cambridge?
Boston. Yeah,
And
near Cambridge.
if you're, why do you want to go to a monastery? And what
Um,
monastery do you want to go to? You may have some ideas about what goes on there, and you might be wrong.
that's plausible. So it's Karinji Rinzai Zen Monastery in Wisconsin. It just was built like a couple years ago as a residential monastery. So I'm going to visit there in April. So I guess I'll see. But why?
Yep.
For a
Why?
lot of reasons. I mean, yeah, I mean, I want to go somewhere that's like conducive to sort of, realizing and embodying realization, and then being able to like bring that somewhere. But and yeah, and also it's a nice, kind of like a nice fit for my, like, likes and dislikes, I guess. I mean, I like stuff like that.
You know, Sung Sanzning used to say during the 1980s, some of you weren't even alive. One of the big issues in America, at least, was the possibility of nuclear war with the Soviet Union. Nowadays, people don't think about nuclear war so much. It's sort of a back burner idea that somebody might become crazy and do something. But it was a big deal then. And he used to say, outside nuclear bomb, not so important. Inside nuclear bomb, very, very dangerous. What is inside nuclear bomb? Like and dislike mind. So, a gun, a bomb, it sits there. It takes somebody with a strong like and dislike mind, some strong idea, to use it. So if you were to go to a monastery, I would suggest throw away all your likes and dislikes. Otherwise, you won't, all you'll learn is what you like and what you don't like. Uh, Practicing means before our likes and dislikes, see clear. Then you can understand other people's minds reflected in your mind. You can understand their problems. You want to be a therapist, you can connect with the person. But if we have strong likes and dislikes, usually we can only connect with people who have the same likes and dislikes. That's kind of animal mind. Animals are very simple. In that sense, they're wonderful. Human beings are very complicated, but animals are very narrow. They only understand their own group. Cats don't understand elephants. Uh, uh, Mice don't understand ants. They don't care about these other things unless there's the possibility of eating them or being eaten by them. But for some reason, human beings have this ability to understand everything. So a human being can connect with an elephant's mind and connect with the tiger's mind and get them to do something together, which they would never do on their own. So how do we return, how do we keep this big mind that we have First point is see my likes and dislikes and put them down. Don't be controlled by my likes and dislikes. Of course, you know, I've taught in high schools and stuff. That doesn't help anybody in high school. You know, when we're teenagers, we're finding out what I like, what I don't like, you know, and how can I get those things for myself. But if you understand yourself, the better you understand yourself, your karma, also our true nature, what's possible, the better you'll be able to connect with and help people. And sometimes it means putting our body on the line, you know. That's one reason why monasteries, among other places, or Zen centers, have some schedule. It doesn't matter what we think about things. We have to use our body also. And our body is a little, it has lots of opinions. And if we let our body control us, then we'll have narrow mind, narrow experience. If you're in Cambridge and you want to live in a practicing place and work, why not try the Cambridge Zen Center? It's a group situation, you're not alone, and there is a daily practice going on. If you want to go to a monastery, try that, and you said you're going to go visit one, that's very good. But realize the real problem is your like and dislike mind. And you'll see it appear as you do things. And that, if you can put that down, then instead of being controlled by my likes and dislikes, I can see clearly, I can hear clearly, I can smell clearly, I can taste clearly. Sky's blue, tree's green, dog goes woof woof, sugar's sweet. That seems like nothing, but nowadays, people don't experience, you know, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling clearly. It's all so quickly mixed up with our opinions about things. In Korea, if it's sunny, the women quickly bring out these umbrellas. They don't want to turn brown, because if they turn brown, traditionally people think you're farmer. But in America, if it's sunny, white people want to take off all their clothes and become brown, because it means I must be rich like Paris Hilton and I don't have to do anything. So sunny is sunny, but everybody has some opinion. And the opinions I have, we can't blame on others. We might have swallowed them from my parents or my society, but we have to take responsibility. I swallowed that opinion. Yeah, don't ever think of yourself as a victim. This is giving away your power. The beauty of Buddha's teaching is everything's by cause and effect. So what appears, some way I created that situation. If we digest it, we become free of it. And that suffering that we experience turns into love, compassion, wisdom. So actually, together action's a good idea. Go live with some other people, especially if you're just finishing school. Very good, because it's everyday life, you know, eating, sleeping, working, doing meditation, whatever activities go on. But be aware of your own likes and dislikes as they appear. And try to bring that mind instead back to, you know, the dirt's brown, you know, the bees are dying, whatever you see. We had this great example of Zen Master Sungsan, who didn't attach to these things. We could see it in everyday life. So he could work with anybody, and he could get people with different ideas to try to work together. Name is don't know. So that's what I would say to you. Good idea. Go live with a group of people for a while. If you've got some time between study and work, very good. But realize that the only hindrance really is your own likes and dislikes. And it's not bad to have likes and dislikes. Just if you're controlled by them, you're going to have a problem. Somebody asked Sungsan, do you like kimchi? He said, I'm Korean, of course I like kimchi. But if I don't have it, I don't suffer. And we saw that. We travel around and he'd have to eat other food, and he did it, you know? And that mind is free. It's called the put it down mind. So try your idea, okay? Try some things before you get yourself in a position where it gets much harder to try, with lots of responsibilities. Okay? Good idea, do it. Anybody else have any questions? Actually, before question, I'd like to say thank you, Jane. Thank you, Barbara, for inviting me. I haven't been in Cambridge in maybe a couple decades. It's fun to be there, even digitally. And also, thank you, everybody who joins. I can tell some of you are not from Cambridge. Boise Zen Center, you guys in Idaho? Tony Sager, I haven't seen you in a couple decades. I thought you were in New Mexico.
I am in New Mexico.
The internet, yeah, good to see you.
It's great to see you. You just too. It's great to see you, little hair
there, yeah. But yeah, look
great
good.
To see you.
Good.
It's been 33 years since we saw each other.
Yeah. Isn't time amazing? Nothing.
Yeah.
A second.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Take care.
Christian H has a question.
Fire away. Christian H. I think you have to unmute yourself, or somebody has to unmute you.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, where do I go when I stop striving for the Dharma?
Where are you right now?
Just in my room.
What's it look like?
Oh, it's just a computer on the side, bed behind me, sitting in a chair, white walls, paintings on the wall.
Well, then you've already come to where you go when you stop striving for Dharma.
Thank you.
Taking out the trash, man. Taking out the, wow, look at that. White and red bag. One day when we're dead, we're going to miss that, maybe. So enjoy it while you got it.
Okay.
It's not, it sounds dull maybe, but Buddha said, that's where joy appears. That's where wisdom appears. That's where life appears. Right now, what am I doing? So anybody, Zen practitioner or otherwise, if you feel like, like Mr. Duffy, you're living a few feet from your body, just ask yourself, what am I doing right now? And be concrete about it. Look at it. I had a great experience with my parents once. They were still in their house. So it must have been like before 1988. I don't know if I was a monk at that time or not. I might have been. I left home when I was 18 and I never lived with them again, but I'd visit for a week or two every year. And I was sitting at the kitchen table looking at them. They were doing something. And I thought to myself, I have no relationship with these people. And then I thought, now, come on, that doesn't make any sense. We're connected to everything in the universe all the time. So in my mind, it was like, well, what is my relationship? Feeling alienated and anxious. And then it was so clear. It was beautiful. I felt totally connected with them. That's my relationship. I am alienated and anxious. We are one, So yeah, be one with your computer, with your floor, with your bed. When you turn on the water faucet, do you pay any attention to that? Do you know how amazing that is? I often talk about this in Korea. 70 years ago, you couldn't turn a faucet and get water. The whole country was at war and destroyed. Your grandmothers were carrying water if they could find it. And now we just turn something, pew, water comes out. It's a miracle, it's magic, it's amazing. You can turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. It's amazing. I also tell them in Korea, your grandchildren aren't going to be able to do that either. They're going to have to hunt and carry water. So if you don't appreciate it now, that time's only going to come faster. So learn to return to where you are right now. What is Dharma? Sky's blue, trees green. They really do mean it. Go see Trading Places. It's a movie with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy from 1984 or something. Best part is Eddie Murphy's pretending to be this crippled Vietnam veteran in a park. And these cops realize he's not blind, he's not crippled. And they go over and they take off his sunglasses. And he's like, who's that? Who's that? And then they kind of whop him and he goes, oh, it's a policeman, Mr. Policeman, it's a miracle. I can see, it's a miracle. And then they pick him up and his legs drop down. I can't believe it. I got legs. It's a miracle. It's a miracle you got legs. It's a miracle you got eyes. Use them. We think way too much about everything. Use it. Then you're connected to just now. Then you can begin to see how you make suffering in your life, how others make suffering. Then the natural thing is help. Help take away my own suffering. Help take away others. Buddha said, I only teach two things, the cause of suffering and the end of suffering. And humans' problem is we're just not skillful about how we deal with that. We think that through money, you guys are young, society, money will get, we'll get over suffering, or power, or justice, or love. Those are all the ways we'll get over suffering. We have to understand how suffering arises, how we make our own suffering. And then we can begin to do something skillful about it. And as we develop that, we can begin to see other people's suffering and and help them. That's also how we get over our suffering. Okay? So don't look for Dharma anywhere except right where you're standing. Okay?
So
beautiful background you got there on your Zoom thing.
we have a question from Francisco Irby.
Francisco.
Hey, Bong, Cindy, Zen Master. So good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. What's
yeah.
happening?
No, not much. Living here at Cambridge Zen Center, arriving at the Dharma of my own bedroom.
Wow, it looks like a Buddha hall. So what's up?
Oh, that's just a virtual picture of Daesan Sanim and my Kuan Yin statue. Yeah, I have a question that's somewhat a little bit more sort of historical and academic, but the last time I visited you in Korea, I think it was 2006, and we did a little 3-day retreat at Musangsa as part of the trip. And I had a really wonderful experience of sitting at Musangsa and had a really deep sense of, the connection between all beings, some kind of real direct experience of like, wow, we really are beings of light. We're really all connected. And I had an interview with this Vietnamese monk. I think he was Chinang Sanim originally before he became Jidok Phuntsok. And then passed away.
Daewan Sanim.
Daewan Sanim, yeah. And I told him about that, and he related it to Amida Buddha and Buddha of infinite light, sort of pure land inside type of thing. And so I was wondering, like, where does the tradition of, in our school, of chanting so much Amida mantra in the morning bell chant and in the 1,000 hands and eyes, all this, where is that, and where is the pure land?
Right now you have some sort of screen thing on your computer, but what's really there? What's behind you in your room?
I'll show you.
Yeah, let's see it.
There you go.
Whoa! You're in a little Tibetan temple there. Well, welcome to the Pure Land, Look in the toilet sometime, and if you can realize that's the Pure Land, no problem.
Thank you.
As far as historic, for historical stuff, in China, the Pure Land school became very, very big, and you chant to the Amitabha, the Buddha of infinite light, infinite space, and they say Omi Tofo, all the time, and but it mixed with Zen. And there actually is questions where the sixth patriarch is asked, in the Platform Sutra, the Pure Land and Zen, I mean, what's their connection, or how come they're not connected? And he said, if you think the Pure Land is somewhere far away outside of you, then Pure Land practice and Zen practice is different. If you realize the Pure Land is the nature of your own mind, right here, right now, then they're the same. So if you want to find the Pure Land, check the toilet after you have, done the natural process. If you can really attain that, one day we may be living in that stuff, I mean, people in refugee camps already are. Okay, another question.
Tyler has a question. Morel.
So thanks for being here tonight. So Jane mentioned, like, when she went to drop the trash in, sometimes she gets this feeling like this could be my last trash, or this could be my last shampoo bottle. It's a very poetic way of like reflecting on mortality. And I was once at Mount Athos, which is like a peninsula with all these Christian monasteries off the coast of Greece. And one of the monks, who's an American monk, was showing me around, and he was showing me all like the cool places, like in the 12th century, the pirates invaded here, and we all went to this tower and all this stuff, because it's been going on since like the 10th century. So he took me to this cellar, which had all these skulls, like thousands of skulls from all the monks throughout the like hundreds and hundreds of years. And he's like, yeah, my skull's going to be here pretty soon. And he seemed like pretty like gleeful about it. Like it was like there was no like existential anxiety around it. And I'm just wondering, like, I've never been a monk, but you have experience being a monk for a long time now. Like, in becoming a monk, did your fear of death, like being a step closer to like giving up your possessions, so in some ways, and kind of disconnecting from the world in some ways, did that really translate into like a lessening of the existential anxiety around death?
Give everything away and see what it's like. Try it yourself.
I just got a new huge flat screen TV today. I don't think I'm giving that up anytime soon.
So then hard to give up your body when it's time to give that up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But for
so
you,
it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee, oh, I give up my things and then I'm not worried about things. But it's just one more experience. I mean, everybody has that kind of thing. You lose a love. And if you hold it, then eventually you do something stupid and make suffering for yourself or others. We have things we lose all the time. I lost a baseball mitt once when I was in my 20s, and I still remember feeling bad about it. So, but imagine with the COVID, imagine people lost their family, people lost their own lives in very unpleasant ways. Parents lose children. Those experiences happen all the time. Just be aware they're not bad or good, they're a natural process. And Jane has a very good story about climbing the mountain when she was in Nepal every day to go to her Tibetan teacher's teaching place. And there being people begging on the way. And Jane, is a very generous person, even as a teenager, I'm sure. But if you've been to India, it gets annoying after a while, all these people asking you for things. And yet, of course, that's their situation. And she was seeing this one old woman all the time. And I remember her story, if I'm telling it correctly, being disturbed by it after a while, noticing this feeling coming up. And she asked her teacher about it. And he said, well, if you, one way to practice being able to give things is give something you don't want or like to somebody you like. And do that over and over until you can do it without any hesitation. Then give something you have that you don't like or want to somebody you don't like. And do that over and over again until you have no hesitation. Then give something you do like to somebody you like. Again, over and over until there's no hesitation, no bad feeling, nothing. Then give something you do like to somebody you don't like until there's no hesitation again. And if that doesn't work, then practice this. Right hand gives to left hand. Left hand gives to right hand. Right hand gives to left hand. Left hand gives to right hand. So our whole lives, the universe has been giving us air, food, water, and then we're going to go freak out when we have to give the body back. So be aware of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. After you've enjoyed your flat screen TV, like give it to somebody.
Watch the Musangsa videos on. I can zoom in on your face, see every little detail.
Well, that's your bad fortune, so no problem. Enjoy.
Next question is from Sergey Ostenko.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Zen Master Bong.
Hello. Hello.
Hi. So you talked a lot about, and in this school, we talk a lot about likes and dislikes and opposites. But what about hard and easy? I know it's dislikes, but I want to know, like, I want to hear already one more time with, thousandth time. What do you think about it? Like what, yeah, probably if you have a simple answer to that, as sometimes the masters do, if you can give a interesting story or inspirational story about overcoming hard things, because I have a lot of things that in my life that I plan to do, for example, right, on on a daily basis, and then it's hard to do. And if sometimes if I have to do them, right, for example, staying for the kyolche, you just do it with no problem. But then, when you're at home on your own, you still have a hard time, and you think how hard it is. Yeah, I don't know. You probably have some inspirational story about overcoming this moment when you think it's hard, but then you still, start doing things, and does it make sense?
What makes something? Yeah, sure it does. It's a good question. What makes something hard for you?
What do you mean?
Something appears, and you think of it as, oh, this is hard. What is it about that situation that then you feel it's hard?
Well, for example, when I'm planning to do bows, right? To take specific example, it just, and for example, I want to do 500 bows. What makes it hard is the suffering that I'm gonna go through.
So it's not the suffering you're experiencing, it's thinking about the suffering you might experience.
But I will experience that suffering. There's no way I'm not gonna go avoid it. It's gonna be a lot of obviously hard work, and it's gonna, yeah. So I guess the question is about suffering, yeah. But anyway,
I used to, Sansanim got me doing 500 bows a day for quite a long time, maybe a couple decades.
How long?
And
okay,
a couple decades. And to be honest, when I was doing it, it wasn't hard. It was going from sitting there to doing it. That was hard.
Yes,
once
exactly.
I was doing it, you got a body. It works. It works. It's unbelievable. Maybe you don't bow correctly. If you're going down hands first, you got to get so your legs are strong and just go straight down, and then rock back on your heels and go straight up. I mean, I got like, I was feeling that I was just shooting up to the moon every time I came up. So almost for you, it's the anticipation, the thinking about something. When I was a kid, I used to cry before I got an injection. I didn't even understand the ridiculousness of that, because once I got the injection, I remember I didn't cry anymore. It just hurt a little bit. So this is also how human beings avoid experience. We avoid physical experience. And then we only want some good feeling. We don't want others. And then we miss out that actually there's lots of good feeling even in things that require effort, a lot. So stop yourself as soon as you get that it's hard, or that moment of thinking, okay? That moment of thinking, that's what's killing your life. You know, it's not the 500 bows or the leg pain. It's that moment, oh, it's gonna hurt.
Well, that's exactly what it is, yes.
Talk to women who have had babies, okay? They can think about it all they want, but when they have to do it, there's no choice. And I saw a baby born, and that woman got into it 100%. There was no choice. And to fight it was ridiculous. It was insane. That is a kind of insanity, you know? So you've got to catch yourself when the thought appears. You know how they teach alcoholics? In Korea, what they do, AA has a booklet. It's about this thick, you know, that's about 2 inches with questions. They teach them, what is the feeling? What is going on when you first think, I want to drink, okay? And they have to identify that very, very, very clearly so that moment to moment when it happens, they catch it right there, okay? Same thing, you know, lots of times it's a boredom, but you make yourself more bored. Oh, my legs are going to hurt. You know, you have to catch that moment when you think hard. It's going to be hard. That's killing you. That's all. That kills that is, you know, making opposites that don't need to exist, you know? So that's the point. Catch your thinking when it appears, and then don't listen to it. I have a friend, he's a monk. He's been a monk 20 some years, 25 years. And he told me every morning he wakes up and the committee meets, he calls it a committee, and they start discussing why he should stay in bed. And he said to me, I just ignore them. I go in, I pee, I wash my face, I go back to my room. The committee's still having a discussion about this. And the next thing he knows, he's upstairs bowing and the committee gives up. So don't let the committee run your life. You've got a, oh, this is going to be hard committee. They love it. They want to talk about it. You know, they'll make you unhappy. Catch that thought and do something that time.
Okay. Thank you. Yep.
Welcome.
We have a question from Rainey Lifton.
Okay. Hi, Rainey.
So I've been practicing meditation for not a very long time, only like 3 years. And I feel like I've been like, I don't know, it seems a lot harder to actually put into practice the ideas of acting from a place of love and not reacting from like emotions from your ego. And also just like practicing non-attachment, like they all sound incredible in theory, but really hard to put into practice. And I was wondering if you have any advice on how to actually like join that in with my everyday experiences.
Throw all those ideas out. Don't think about, I'm practicing from a place of love. I have to interact with people from a place of love, or you know, attachments and stuff. We don't teach that way. You must not attach. We teach just do it. When you're doing something, just do it. That will lead to correct love, not a feeling. Automatic correct love. I have a very, very good friend. He's been a monk longer than me. We were living in Paris together, and he's older than me. I gave him my room. We had a small Zen center. While he was living there, I slept in the meditation room. And as he was going down to bed that night, I was laying down, he started to kind of poke at me and try to make me feel bad. And then when he saw I felt a little bad, he said to me, he smiled and said, "Good night." And I remember I said to him, "Fuck you too." And he smiled. He understands me. He loves me. So don't make a love in your mind. Come back to just now. What are you doing just now? Do it. If you are reflecting on yourself, it'll become clear over time. And then what we think is love and what is really love will appear. Our ideas about love aren't love. It's an idea, okay? So don't make, oh, I have to come from a place of love. That'll make you a really annoying person. Plus, you won't be very happy either. You won't feel any power inside. You know, there's no power behind what I do because you're trying to do it from some idea, okay? So make your center strong by when you're doing something, do it and pay attention. And you yourself will begin to see without thinking about it over time. When I do this way, I make suffering. When I do this way, wow, how did that happen? That's cool. Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Try that. Moment to moment. One more thing. You said you've been practicing 3 years. It immediately reminded me of in Cambridge Zen Center, somebody asking Zen Master Sun San, "Sir, I've been practicing a short time, you know, only 3 days. What advice can you give me?" And San Sneem said, 3 days? And he said, yes, 3 days. And then San Sneem said, too long. 3 days, 20 years, doesn't matter. Right now, what are you doing? Okay, good.
Thank you so much.
Okay, do it. Then you can save the world.
We need another question. Tom and Wenda had a question before.
You know, I think he's been addressing it for the last 45 minutes, so I've just enjoyed all the questions and all the answers.
Okay.
Where are you guys coming from? Where's your in your house? Where are you?
Well, we're in our basement.
We're in Kansas.
In your bed. Kansas. Oh, yeah. Oh, say hello to Daekwang for me, okay, when you see him. Kansas. Yeah, okay. Great. And to Dorothy and Toto.
We never know where he is.
Well, that's his magic. I suggest check any of the local coffee shops.
Oh, yeah.
I have a question for you about what is practice like now these days. I mean, I'm not going to second guess my question. We're all dealing with this global pandemic and finding new ways to continue to stay connected and do practice. And I was just wondering, what's your experience there in Gyeongsan in Musangsa of the current global pandemic, and how has your sangha adapted to the COVID crisis and continued practicing?
When you're breathing in, be aware you're breathing in. When you're breathing out, be aware you're breathing out. That's basically it. In terms of the sort of more external, Korea has handled the pandemic quite well. You know, America's only got a population 7 times what Korea has. So Korea is a very populous and congested country. And there has been 1,600 deaths in 14 months, less than America has every day. That's only, and America's only 7 times bigger. So one thing this has taught me is that, you know, our cultural habits are very valuable in some situations and very deleterious, is that the right word, in others. And if we have a wider mind, we can learn from a lot of people and we can be adjusting. So, you know, the sort of freedom, liberty, individualism of America is very wonderful in certain situations. Complete disaster in a pandemic. Korea, China are basically Confucian countries. They're changing now. But your last name comes first. What you do for others is number one. It's not always the Bodhisattva way, but you do act together. There is, except for a few churches which didn't follow things, everybody in Korea wears masks all the time. The little kid, there's no arguing about it. There's no personal confusion, nothing. It's just what you do. And so there's never been a lockdown. There has been restrictions, particularly on religious places, because some religious groups didn't listen. But Buddhism hasn't had a problem, but we have not basically been allowed to hold public events for more than a year. So a lot of our activity has gone online. For our winter and summer retreats, we just did it with our residents, which is 17 people. Nowadays, it's 14 monks and nuns, 3 hangjas, training to be monks and nuns. But because our temple is 5 buildings on the side of a mountain, there's no wall around it, we leave the Buddha Hall open. So every day, people come and go from the Buddha Hall. They can go in there, but they should wear a mask. We just don't hold the public activities for them. And they can come to the office. I do meet with people occasionally, but they don't go to the meditation room, the living spaces, and we're not supposed to feed people meals. So a lot of our thing is going online. Within the temple, life and practice is the same. People do go to town, but you have to be careful. And I've been surprised that I really stayed off all online stuff before the pandemic because I didn't like that way of connecting with people. But I find now that it's not bad. You can really connect. And we did have a very good online, what we call heart chilche, like you have in America, but we actually set it up so everybody who joins has one interview, private interview a week, and we have a coffee hour where half the group gets together with one of the teachers. We had to make 2 different time slots, one morning and one evening, because people could only join at a certain time. So we had, actually it was much more work than inside the temple retreats. I don't know if we'll do it again this summer. We still don't know, but that's how we relate to it. The lay people have their challenges for sure, because at least in Korea, one of the main reasons of going to a temple or a church is the social connections. That's very, very important and valuable to people. And so they miss that. So we're starting to, now the government, we follow the government guidelines. We're foreigners, and although some Koreans live here too. But we now are allowed to let like 10 people in a room at a time or something like that. So we're starting to make lotus lanterns, and there's a group of Bolsanims who come, and we do it together with them. And Buddhism was very good in Korea. Actually, the local governor came to visit after Buddha's birthday, and one thing he said is that they were very grateful that the temples really followed the government guidelines. And even Buddhism even delayed Buddha's birthday 1 month just to get over the very sharp rise when things were coming down. Then all the temples held Buddha's birthday again. But again, we couldn't let that many people inside, and we couldn't serve them food. So we had box lunches we had made and gave out to everybody. Yeah, so that's how it's adjusted here. It's still an issue. They're slower than America in bringing out the vaccines, but it's annoying, the mask, but everybody complies. Kids too. Kids don't fight it. It's all kinds of little cartoons on their masks and stuff. They know how to make it cool for kids. Anybody else? I take questions, comments, insults, complaints, no problem. Anyway, I can just close my computer if I really feel annoyed. Also, your questions help me, so please help me.
We have Jennifer Magrone has a question.
Jennifer, hello.
So I don't really have a question, but you said we could make comments. So I just wanted to say it's so nice to see you. Thank you for coming. And it made me think of a long time ago in Korea when I was there for a retreat and you were the teacher. And I remember going to the hot water faucet in the hallway that was outside your room one night and filling up my thermos with hot water. And for some reason, I was humming the theme from I Dream of Jeannie, and I didn't realize I was doing it. And you popped your head out and said, "Even music is thinking." And then you popped your head back in. And
wow, I sound like an asshole. I mean, why?
No,
music's okay.
You were right.
Well, yeah, it's true. It's true.
So I just wanted to thank you for that. That really stuck with me, and I want to share that with everyone.
Great, great. Do you mind if I tell a story about you during that retreat?
Sure. How can my karma help everyone?
Yes. Actually, Jennifer did a great thing. One day we wake up in the morning. I really hope this doesn't bother you. I just think it was so much fun to deal with. And I think the first thing that happened is in toothpaste on all the windows, there were Dharma messages written. And then everybody was like, what's going on? What's going on? And then the next day, I think there was, in the morning when we woke up, there were Dharma messages in everybody's shoes. And then the next day, it was written in the snow, stuff like just do it, put it all down and stuff. And then everybody starts talking about it because we have a group of 30 people, one building, one meditation room, one or two little rooms for the women, and the men slept in the meditation room. So we're all like, boom, very tight together. And I called Sungsansini, because now everybody's checking. And he gave really interesting advice. He said, you think about who may be doing that, then one by one, call them in your room and ask them. He said, they following my action at Sudoksa, when Sansanim started the Jew stuff to make everybody practice hard when he was a young monk, putting the turning the Buddha around at night. So when people came to chanting, the Buddha was around, taking the incense burner and hanging it outside. And eventually he got caught, But then it was so interesting. Sungsansini really had wisdom. He said to me, you bring somebody in one by one and you ask them, are they doing that kind of thing? And then say to them, did you finish all the kongans? If you get enlightenment and finish all the kongans, then this kind of action, no problem. If you not finish all the kongans, then this kind of action, everybody think crazy. So you were the third person I called in, and bingo! But I want to thank you because it was really cool, and it did make things livelier. Definitely. And I never told anybody it was you, so it's been revealed. But it was great. Good job. Keep it up. And finish all the kongans. Anybody else have any other questions? Good to see you again.
Sunny V.
Sunny V.
Hi there.
Hi.
I have like 2 questions. If you can answer like briefly, that would be good. So the first question is like, what is your advice to young people, like professional young people, like us who never been to any hardship like this pandemic, like how to be productive and why we are like so disconnected and isolated in this pandemic. And the second question is like,
excuse me, let me do the first question first. What does it mean to you to be productive? What do you mean?
To be productive is like to to be doing like to be like to like create like to feel like create a lot of value every day, do a lot of work every day.
When you say work, what do you mean? You mean like your professional work?
Yep.
Or do you mean clean your apartment and straighten things out? Or do you mean like exercise and keep your body healthy? What kind of things to you are value? If I do, I feel I've done something of value.
Yeah, like everything like that.
Yeah, well, you can even make a list. What's important is to realize what I value, what is making what, you know, you said productive, but what do you mean by that? You know, like for example, a songwriter, they may think sitting around on the couch and trying different things with the guitar and starting some different songs, maybe, you know, having that unstructured, but sort of just time is productive, but you might find that not productive, not satisfying. So it's very important to see what are the values that I'm holding that I may not even be aware of. Certainly in my experience, that becomes an issue when people get married because they don't even know what their values are, and then suddenly they're with this other person, and suddenly something dissatisfaction appears. They maybe because they have different values, but they don't even know their own values particularly, or blah blah blah. You can spend a lifetime talking about that, but very important to reflect on yourself. And you use some very good words, so you'll give yourself somewhere to look, some clues of how to pursue this. What is it that I consider productive, that gives me feeling I've been productive? What doing things I value? What is it that I value? It's very important to see those things, because those assumptions, which are often unconscious, lead to thinking and behavior. I was, last time I was in Singapore was maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and a Buddhist magazine, of course, Singapore is, 85% Chinese, more than 50% Buddhist, and it's a very multicultural society, different religions and so forth, but it's very strongly Chinese and Buddhist. And a Buddhist magazine came to talk to me, and they said, young people in their 20s and 30s, even teenagers, have a saying they say to themselves: keep ahead of the pack, keep ahead of the pack. And she said they were particularly interested, how can Buddhism connect with the people, and help them, because they found that the Christian churches were doing a very good job of connecting with people who want to keep ahead of the pack. If you join the church, if you have this kind of faith inside, you will be successful in life and you will get the things you want, jobs and good situation and money and good relationship, etc. Then what does Buddhism say? How can Buddhism connect with these young people? It's a very interesting question. Of course, we could use the teaching to say the same kind of things, but what occurred to me, I asked them, well, why do they want to stay ahead of the pack? And they said, to be successful. And the only thing I could come up with is, why don't we ask the young people what for them is successful? What do they mean by success? For example, not just my generation, because honestly, Bush, Trump, they're only 4 years older than me. All these guys, we're the same generation. And look what they did. But a lot of people in my generation, the watchword, like keep ahead of the pack, was with a little help from my friends. Let's do something together. How can we help each other? So wow, it's a very different sensibility and that's okay. We have to deal with what is now. And So reflecting back on those things is very important. That leads one to understand, to be more clear. Okay, when you're more clear, then you can you'll see, when I do this, it leads to suffering. When I do that, it maybe is less than I thought would be what I wanted, but it's better. And that's the value of the pandemic. It's putting everybody in that position, if we'll think about it, if we'll look at what is most important. I saw a BBC program about a year ago, maybe a little less. It was when the pandemic was really big in New York. And they interviewed about 6, 7 people in their 20s. And they were all struggling, and they had to stay in their apartments. They couldn't see friends. They couldn't see family. They couldn't go to work. Most of them were okay in that they could do work through the computer. So they weren't running into, I have no money, how am I going to eat, and everything. But it was so interesting. One girl was just totally falling apart, and it was sad. And, you know, she really was having a hard time with that. Then there was this other woman, I remember, she was a little, in Korea, they say, tong tong. You know, it means sort of cutely chubby, okay? But she was so amazing. I was blown away by this woman. She was like, well, you know, I can't see my friends. So at 10 a.m., I found a yoga class. So I put on my yoga outfit, I do my yoga. And then at 3 p.m., there's a dance class, and I put on my dance stuff and I do my dance, and I'm trying to eat. So she was amazing, you know, bad situation. And she was just trying to figure out how to do things that she felt good about. And I talked to my mom every day, and she just had this cool energy. So you can find that if you begin to understand yourself better. And even though sometimes we see we have karma that's very disturbing, and that's hard to keep looking at, it's okay, because it's just karma. It's just a habit. It's not me. My true nature is as big as the universe. It's full space. It's you know, that's why there's all these names for it. So I can do something. And as Jane said, if we see our karma one day, even if it was causing us trouble, we might be able to use it in a way that benefits ourselves and others. Sung Santanim, because of his diabetes, had to eat 3 times a day. And but he handled it so well, and he used it because a lot of us were hippies who had destroyed our stomachs by eating whenever we felt like it. The 2 things that helped me straighten out my eating were working 16-hour shifts in a prison where you don't get meals except this time, this time, this time, and living in the Zen Center. Fixed my stomach. So he could even use his karma without saying me, you know, to help people. Okay, so look at what is it that I mean by productive, and then what is it that I value, and then you'll be more skillful about what you do. Maybe you value seeing friends, and just physically seeing them is difficult. Well, then you know what are the things that are difficult. Then you can find solutions. Okay, skillful ones, not habitual ones that lead to more suffering. Second question.
Okay, so the second question also very related to what you're talking about. It's like you're talking about the pandemic, the meaningful, the meaning of the pandemic to help people, right? Like to help us to understand ourselves and to learn from it. So what do you what is your vision about like the future of our world, like after we get the vaccine? What is your vision about our normal, our new normal, and how we can connect better even after this pandemic, you know?
Okay, that's a good question. What is normal? It's a fantasy. It's just some idea we make up. You know, some kid who's been beaten up as he grows up, for him, that's normal. And whether he is able to overcome it, if he's not able to overcome it, he's, you know, he simply goes out and gets in trouble, so somebody beats him up. That's his normal. So normal is just my particular idea of what is normal. You know, kids growing up in these refugee camps, that's normal. You know, if they get some kind of have some healthy mind inside, maybe they will know how to use opportunities when they appear. Maybe not. You know, somebody who's abused and begins to feel the only value I have is when somebody abuses me, they tend to get in relationships with abusers. So to them, it's normal. They don't think maybe that word. So normal is just some made up category. You know, real normal is everything's impermanent. Everything has suffering. Originally, there is no non-self. Our nature is non-self. You know, that is normal. That is human beings' condition. One reason I love Buddha's teaching is he's very clear. So clear, you can't even very well misuse it. Yeah, maybe we're not so skillful individually, but it's very hard to turn it into something bad because it's simple and clear. What is the most normal thing in the world? Impermanence. Everything is impermanent. The universe is impermanent. Your life, your consciousness, your body, your social situation, that is normal. What else is normal? All things have suffering. All things appear and develop, fall apart, and disappear. So start living your life based on what is truly normal, what is truly our condition, not some idea about my condition. Then you can begin to find your way, okay? You can begin to find the great way, because to only go for my own satisfaction is ignorance. It's stupid. You know, it's stupid. I wanted to write a letter to Trump and say, why do you make yourself and everybody else suffer so much? You know, but you know, it's ridiculous. I'd rather talk to you. Okay, so the thing that's so valuable about Buddha's teaching is he really saw reality, not some fantasy. And if you start to ground your life in reality, you'll feel more grounded and become slowly, painfully, perhaps, become more skillful and wise. And that's the way it is. You know, when people get older, only two ways, more wide or more narrow. So if we really look at, study, and try to practice this reflecting back on myself, Buddha's teaching, then there's the possibility we run into our hindrances, we become aware of them. Then we can learn to control them. Then we can make them disappear, because all this karma only comes from thinking we've made this life or before life. So as a famous Christian minister, Reverend Ike, in the 1950s said, if you can think it up, you can think it down. So that's right. We made our karma, we can make it disappear. If it disappears, then we can use anything, including our karma, correctly, which brings benefit to ourselves and others. Okay, so try to ground your life not in the things we want, not even what society tells you, because society is like, you know, when a coral reef grows, society is just the shell that's left behind the live part. And sometimes it's a good shell and sometimes it's a shitty shell, but find the live part, you know. And we swallow things from society. That's not society's fault. That's our karma. That's why we're born, you know, white, black, Asian, man, woman, or in between, or both. And I want to do it this way, and later maybe I want to do it that way. That's natural, you know, but we can't blame anybody for it. if we realize our own nature, we're also not dependent on others. We might feel something, but that's just showing us where I still have some attachment to work on. That's okay, you know? So ground your life in what is truly normal, impermanence, suffering. All things are suffering. It's not bad. It's just the nature of things. You know, I often say, Jesus is very beautiful. I don't know about the people who follow them, just like Buddha's beautiful. And I don't know if I'm doing Buddha's teaching service or not. But Jesus said, believe in me and you'll be in heaven. But he had a very hard job, you know, up on the cross. Buddha said life is suffering, but when you see him, he looks pretty good. So even Jesus said the truth will set you free. So maybe the nature of life as imbalance, you know, imbalance or unsatisfactory is the truth. And if we accept that truth, we can do something wonderful with everything that appears. But if we're always looking for comfort and security, it goes against the nature of things. You know, you can't make a fire with water, so nobody tries, you know. So if we see what the true nature of things are, you can do many wonderful things in your life. Even when you fail, that can become your greatest entry into something wider and bigger, into real love and compassion and wisdom. And that's wonderful. That's what we need. And the young people like yourself are the most important. Zen Center helped us find that, you know, and, you know, that's all I want to do. It's great to talk to somebody younger than me. You know, my age, I already know what most people think. I'm sick of my own ideas. It's good to hear from you. So consider, what is it that I think of as productive? What is it that I value? Then you'll be more skillful in how you deal with the circumstances of your life. And don't worry about the future. Totally unknown. Nobody expected the pandemic. So nobody knows what's really going to happen next. No idea. But it can be a great adventure as long as we are more free inside and not so attached to my own comfort, my own ideas, okay? Then you can become a great person, and next life I'll come bow to you and ask you for help, okay? Please, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sensei.
You're welcome. Yeah. Okay, yellow hands. Anybody has a question? I think
overtime.
Maybe,
right.
Overtime. Well, actually, it's up to you. You know, for me, it's 10:58 in the morning, and I've got nothing to do until about noon or so. So it's up to you. If everybody's tired, want to go to sleep, good night, have a good sleep, get enlightenment. It's up to you. You're the boss.
Oh dear. I think we want you to come back really soon. We can't get enough of you. You know,
no coming, no going. Just, you know, I used to think like, if you want to see somebody, just look at the sky. There they are. Sky's blue. Yeah. But of course, sometimes it's good to actually see the face of the person that you want to see.
Very good. Very good.
Okay, everybody, take care. You all already understand there's some value in our practice in Buddhist teaching. It's such a treasure. We're all so fortunate to have met Buddha's teaching. I know Jane and myself and anyone else who met Zen Center just feel so grateful to meet someone who was so skillful at it and so devoted and so willing to, yeah, it's my little 11 o'clock, you know, give himself to it. And so please, let's all make use of it. And then our lives, whatever circumstances we're in, can become more beneficial, even bad situations for ourselves and others. And then when it's time to die, hopefully instead of freaking out, we can just say, okay, let's see what's next. So please, everybody, take care. And every day, even every moment, even one moment, just like try, pay attention. What is this? What am I? And appreciate that we don't know. Then this world only becomes an amazing lesson that we can learn from and turn into something beneficial for each other. So thank you very much for inviting me, Jane, Zen Master, and Barbara, and everybody for showing up on my screen somehow. It's kind of cool because I feel like I'm in your room with you. So turn around, I might be behind you right now.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Devang.
you.
Thank you, Devang.
Welcome. Welcome.
Sanida, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Catch you all later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Barbara, do you have any